And thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jax-Miller. Welcome as always to our viewers on onespotmedia.com. Earlier today, the Ministry of Health held a press conference to announce the first confirmed case of the coronavirus Covid-19 here in Jamaica. Here's that announcement.
Jamaica today confirmed its first imported case of coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-2019, here in Kingston. The patient is a Jamaican female who had traveled from the United Kingdom, which, as you know, has cases of COVID-19. She arrived in the island on March 4th, presented to the public health system on March 9th, and has been in isolation since then.
Now, we're going to be joined in this segment, or we are joined in this segment, perhaps I should say, by Health Minister Dr. Chris TUFTON. The Chief Medical Officer is with us as well, Dr. Jacqueline DeSesa McKenzie, as well as the Head of Medicine at the University Hospital of the West Indies, Professor Michael Boyne. Just before we go to them, though, we went to the streets to get some reactions from the public.
Wash my hands more or less, touching interactions with persons, use hand sanitizer daily, a lot of hand sanitizer.
Make sure I wash my hands, I always walk with wipes and I have hand sanitizer in my bag. So practice becomes perfect.
Keep our hands washed. Try to avoid handshaking and with other people, and try to, put more measures or caution in how you approach other people.
But right now, I use peroxide and vinegar spray in my house now. Because I hear say that kind of help. You understand me? I may have my gloves and all these things. So any little thing where I come up on the road, I'm going to go home and make sure I wash my hand with some soap, vinegar, and I'm good to go.
I have my hand sanitizer and I have my gloves at home, but I just come on the road just to purchase some more masks and stuff like that.
I always keep good hygiene, so it was always the same. Wash hands, sneezing napkin, throw it away. I'm always taking my necessary health things with me. I walk up and down with my sanitizers and my alcohol. I always have those stuff, and that's how I teach my children. So we are always practicing clean hygiene, so there was nothing to really panic about, and there was nothing to change.
Believe it or not, we do what we're supposed to do to protect ourselves. Good hygiene, wash our hands daily. Yes, because we know this thing is serious, and we heard how much people have been dead of coronavirus.
All right, now later in the program, we'll also have with us the head of the School of Public Health at the University of Technology, Dr. Winston Davidson, along with medical doctor and PNP spokesperson, Dr. Shane Alexis. First, though, let's start with our panel. Now, let me just clarify something, if I could, because we heard the patient, you told us earlier, a Jamaican woman who traveled from the UK. She lives here or she lives in the UK?
My understanding is that she lives in the UK.
Okay, so she came here for, we heard, a funeral. Mm-hmm. Now, question, Dr. Tufton, this patient came from the UK. We heard today that the UK's junior health minister has been confirmed with coronavirus. She's now self-isolating. 6 people dead in the UK, 382 cases in all was the last number I saw. Why is the UK not on the list of countries with travel restrictions?
So the travel restrictions are a function of the risk assessment that is determined by the clinicians. It speaks to not just the number of cases in a country, but very importantly, the pace of spread, the rate at which the virus is spreading. And we do get daily updates on the rate of spread. In this instance, we imposed restrictions on 3 countries in Europe, in addition to Italy, which was already there, Spain, Germany, and France. And that was based on the assessment, the risk assessment that was given. The virus is in 17 countries up to an hour ago, and it changes almost every other hour. Clearly, you can't restrict all of those countries. So you add a sort of criteria that depends on the risk and the rate of spread in a country in regards to the population of the country tends to be a major factor in determining the countries that are placed on the restriction of travel.
So
Please.
as at this stage then, you're saying the rate of spread in the UK is not such that it would qualify to be put on the list?
Yeah, and these are our measures that we put in place in terms of our own assessment that we do locally. But yes, we felt that the 4 countries that were identified on the continent were countries that were represented a greater risk based on how the virus is spreading in those countries. And this is community spread now, as opposed to an imported case.
Yes, Dr. Besesa Mackenzie, she got here March 4. You told us earlier, went to the public health system on March 9. When did she start showing symptoms, though, based on the case history?
Based on the history, she started showing symptoms on the 8th.
Okay. Is that problematic in terms of what would have happened before she came in?
Of course, it always represents a problem when there's a time period between the onset of symptoms and the presentation to a facility and, of course, isolation of that person, because we now have to interrogate that time period to find out who are the contacts during that period, what are the possibilities in terms of their exposure, and then how do we manage that exposure.
So she was symptomatic at the funeral?
No, based on the history that we have, it was after the funeral that she developed symptoms.
All right, she's at UA now, UA Hospital now. Prof, is that where she initially went, or was she transferred there?
She was transferred. She saw her medical practitioner before, and then afterwards was referred to University Hospital, where she is at present.
Okay. Is there concern about what would have happened between the time she was at the doctor and how she was transferred? In other words, method of transportation.
Yes, and that's similar to what Dr. Besesa said. It is a matter of concern who she may have been in contact with. I believe she may, don't quote me, but she was in a vehicle with other persons, and that too raises a risk of contact, yes.
What about when she got to UA? What happened there?
So when she got to university, there are certain protocols that had been developed in respect to COVID-19.
If you know
so
what
she
it
was
is,
screened and therefore afterwards placed in isolation and then processed.
Okay, so is there any concern about that's the point at which she got to UA and the process before she was put in isolation?
In terms of members of staff themselves being...
whether with patients, because I know generally
Yes.
you go into the waiting area where there are lots of people.
That's right, yeah. So we're trying to have, an isolation area and then afterwards placing in the isolation room, which is a negative pressure room.
But is that what happened with her?
Yeah, I'm not 100% clear of exactly who and who, but she did interact with some of the members of staff, and then they went through the COVID-19 protocol. Yeah.
Okay, so she may have exposed people during that period before she was put in isolation? That's what I'm trying to find out.
Well, generally speaking, a mask is placed on individuals, and afterwards a brief history is taken, and they're also ushered into the isolation room. So yes, she would have interacted with members of the University Hospital staff. That is true. And of course, we are trying to to obey all aspects of protocol.
I know. I understand that
yes.
you're giving me the protocol and what
Yes.
is supposed to happen. I'm trying to figure out what happened in her particular case. If, in fact, the staff was aware when she got there that protocol needed to be followed the minute she came out of the vehicle.
The staff was aware that she was a suspected case and was alerted in that way. Yes.
Okay. So how would you assess the risk of that time period?
The risk has been, well, I would not assess it as being high at this case in terms of the persons unknowingly being exposed and therefore at risk of transmission. No, I would not assess it as high, but actually low at this stage.
All right. All right, I'm nearly out of time for this segment, so let me just go to the break. Remember, our hashtag is TVJ All Angles. You're watching a special edition tonight following the announcement that the first case of COVID-19 has been confirmed in Jamaica. You're going to be seeing a number on your screens. That's a COVID-19 hotline that you can call for information. Is it 24-hour?
No. Not as yet.
9 to 5?
Persons are in the EOC until 8 p.m. from 7:30 a.m. until 8 p.m.
Okay.